and offering manager here at IBM Watson. And today we're going to talk about the technician of the future. What is the technician of the future? Well, we all use these tools. We all use voice, we all use AR, we use AI in our daily lives today. But technician of the future is about taking these new technologies and bringing that in the hands of a field technician and help him do his job more productively and more safely.
So, as a technician, he's gonna come during the morning and he's gonna check the work that he has to do. Being a technician, we are expecting him to be actually a mobile user. So he can actually go to a work center and with a few clicks he can see the work that he has to do today, all the inspections that he might have to execute, all the work that he has to do, and with a few clicks be able to say that he's going to start that work and do those activities. But once he gets to that asset that he has to maintain, he's new, he don't know exactly what he has to do in order to fix that asset. So as part of the work that he has to do, he will see that he has all the asset details, all the information that he has to execute, all the tasks that are part of that job that he has to execute, but he don't know actually, and he needs help.
I'm going to be showing the Maximo Augmented Collaboration solution this morning that was developed in a joint effort with IBM Research. So the idea behind this application is it allows the field technician to connect with an expert based upon the context of the work order. The two can then interact using images transmitted from the technician's device back to the expert. The expert can annotate, they can chat, and hopefully help the technician get over any problems that he might be having to complete the work that's in front of him. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm logging into Maximo as Sam. Sam is our technician. He's going to open one of the work orders that's been assigned to him. He's going to open one of these daily vehicle inspection reports. Maybe he's not sure how to inspect the brakes on a vehicle. So as he opens that work order, you can see some of the details on that work order. So when we push the Seek Advice button, based upon the attributes that are present on this work order, we determine who the experts are that my technician Sam should be interacting with or can interact with. As I come down, you'll see we have a button that we've added to the work order based on licensing. We have the ability to seek additional advice. There's really two types of advice that we can seek. As part of the Technician of the Future initiative, we also have, in addition to Augmented Collaboration, Emma is also present, the Equipment Maintenance Assistant. What I'm going to be showing is Augmented Collaboration. So as I open that list of the experts, right, this is the expert list, right, that's generated based upon the attributes on that work order. We group these in two ways. The top available topics from the work order are driven by the attributes on the work. The bottom one, other topics, are driven just by more general type expertise. A lot of times we have crafts, plumbing, heating, HVAC type experts who are more general in nature. So in this case, I'm going to open both of these just to show you all the people who are available. So Fred Stanley is one of the experts who's available, and I'm going to start to interact with him. I'm going to allow that. When I open the list, I see my experts who are available. I'm going to choose to interact with Stanley. As I start to form the request that's going to be pushed out to Stanley, I scrape some of those attributes off of the work order. I have the ability to add some specifics. So I'm just typing here that he's going to need some help with the brake inspection. Once I've done that, I'm going to click the Contact Expert, and that pushes the request out to the expert. So over here, you can see we have Stanley. He's received that request. He opens the request, and he sees all of those details. So as I accept it, my expert lands back in what we call the gallery, and he's basically waiting for some of those images to arrive from my technician. So as the technician clicks Go, it starts to use this device as a way to transmit the images that he's seeing back to the expert. So I'm going to start to look at some of the work that's in front of me. In this case, we're looking at a keyboard. So if we come over here and we look side by side, we have both the technician who's using his device to transmit the images he sees, and then the images showing up over on the expert side. So one of the things I'd like to show is just the chat capability. So here, the expert has opened the chat. I'm going to use some of the capability using the microphone, where rather than trying to key in a message, I can use the microphone to speak a message in. Sam, what's the issue with inspecting the brakes? And now I'm going to send that back over. You see the pop-up shows up. Sam can go into where the chat messages are displayed, and he can see what the message was. What we're going to show now is from the gallery in the camera. We're just going to close this. In the gallery, we have all of the images that were transmitted from Sam. See, there's a visual indication number, so I can reference that number when we're interacting between the two. Quite often, there'll be a voice conversation going on at the same time. I'm going to open image 18, and using the annotation tools, this is the annotation toolbox, I'm going to tell Sam to check one of these keys. Check the spacebar. I position it, and then as I click send, I'm going to push that annotation. Just got to push the send button, and that annotation will be sent. So now that annotation is showing up over on Sam's side. Sam can see he needs to check the spacebar. Sam, as part of this interaction, can also use that annotation capability. So he's going to go into image, that same image that we were just using. Let's go into image 17. And he's just going to use a different capability in the toolbox that's called Sketch. So Sketch is the ability to use your finger on the screen to circle when you're interacting and say, are you sure you don't want me to check this? And I can circle that, I can send that, and now as the annotation is sent back over to my expert, right, I can see that annotation as well. We'll just send one more. I'm going to insert an arrow. So the arrow capability is a neat little application, a neat feature as well, where I can position the arrow where I want it. Say, check this key, and then push that back. I'm going to send it. The annotation has been sent. I'll go back to my camera, right, and now we can see, even as I move around this particular keyboard, I'm maintaining the relationship between the annotations and the object itself that's underlying it. So at the end of that interaction, I'm going to end the interaction. I'm assuming I've solved my problem. Once I ended it on both sides, we get the session closed by the other party. And one of the nice features of the application is when I go back into my Maximo, we associate that session to the Maximo work order that I launched from. So now if I look on my work order, we have what is called the advice tab. If I click on that advice tab, for each of the sessions that I've had, we create what we call the mosaic. And that mosaic represents the images that were captured and the annotations and the interaction that happened between the two, the expert and the technician. So if I open one of these, here we go. So here's the example where I've captured each of kind of the panels that have some of the interactions that we just undertook. I can go back and review them. So in the future, on our roadmap would be the ability to scrape off these sessions, off those work orders, put it into an editing tool, and then be able to associate those artifacts to other Maximo attach points, things like job plans. So if you see a job plan where there's a step in the job plan that's generating seek advice sessions over and over again, you'd associate one of these self-guidance pieces to that step in the work order. It would be able to help the technician without having to interact with a live individual. Thank you.
The equipment maintenance assistant takes the power of Watson AI and brings that in the hands of a field technician to help him on telling him what to do while executing a work order. You want to see it in action? Let's go. Let's say I'm executing work order 2932. So this, as you can see, is an emergency work order that I was asked to act on as a technician. I see the details of the work order, and there is no job plan details included. So as a technician, I don't know what to do in this case to fix the pump leak. So this is where the button here with the Watson logo launches the AI recommendations. So once we select the Seek Advice button, this is going to pull up the AI-driven recommendations on what I should do. So now what you see here is you see that on the basis of the details in the work order, which was just the simple instruction that this was an HVAC pump leak that I was asked to take action on, and the other attributes on what asset is in context, Watson has come up with a series of recommendations along with confidence intervals of how confident we are that this is the right answer. And then what a technician can now see is he sees a list of recommendations, and let's say he looks at this one and says that it looks about right. So he can then pull up the original document and scroll down to where the passage of that text was from, so that he can see any surrounding images and surrounding more technical details. And now, so that was an example of how the technician can read instructions from manuals. But EMA doesn't just show you unstructured documents that you have. It also shows you the structured data you have in your Maximo system. And why is that important? Because sometimes you just want to know how things were fixed in the past. So that in one mode, we show you all the historical work orders that had similar pump leak. And this way, he can search for what was done when there was a pump leak in, let's say, the same asset class. So it doesn't have to be that asset. I can also search for different asset IDs of the same asset class. And then, as you can see, you can look at the work orders. You can also additionally filter to see work orders that were only generated in the last 6 months, 1 year, or 3 years. So this way, the technician can not only see unstructured data, but also see structured information. So this way, he can now have the power of Watson AI available in his fingertips to see how things were fixed in the past, to come up with Watson recommendations on how he should fix and help him fix his job faster, reducing your mean time to repair and improving your first-time fix rate.
One of the challenges that we are also addressing as part of the technician of the future vision is, imagine that I'm doing an inspection in the field. I have my set of lists to report and I have my device. But as I'm doing this work, maybe I'm wearing gloves, I have my hands full of grease, and I don't want to really touch the device as I am doing that work. In some cases, it's even more than that, because it can be a safety situation where I won't even have my hands free. So going back to our technician, he is new, he does not have all the expertise to execute that inspection, and in this case, he can't even touch the screen because of the situations that I just explained. So one of the things that we are working at is to bring a voice interface to Maximo, where I can simply interact by using voice and natural language to do my regular activities during my day. So I'm doing my inspection, so I can say, let's start the inspection.
Okay, starting the vehicle demo inspection. Check the oil level.
But I am new, I'm not seeing the forms, I have my device in my pocket, and I would say, I don't know the options.
The allowed values are pass or fail.
And I can simply say, oil level is fine.
Noted. The oil level is passed.
So
report on coolant.
I didn't say even one of the options that were available before, but using natural conversation, it will be able to understand what you were saying and get that information back to the context of that inspection result. So in this case, I can also say, coolant is really bad.
Got it. The coolant is fail. What is the status of brake fluid?
But I'm a technician. I'm not just there collecting those results. I want to really be able to know more about what is going on, what is the reason why this is failing. And I can use, again, the same voice conversation flow to collect that information. So I can ask, what can be the reason?
It can be caused by a burst fluid hose or brake fluid tank leak.
In other words, it's going back to my work order history, previous failures that I had around this exact same inspection, this exact same asset, and bring that information. So it's getting me more insights on the report that I'm doing, the information that I'm collecting. And even beyond that, if this information might not be enough, I can ask even more. Can you elaborate?
From EMA diagnosis model, a burst fluid hose has 40% probability and brake fluid tank leak has 13% probability.
If you remember that we've talked about all the documentation that you have, that we are using Equipment Assistant to categorize, to get that information in your hands, we can also use this voice interface to have a quick access to that information. And again, the intent is always to help the technician in the field to better do his job.
So hi, I'm Brian Massey. We're here at Maximo World. I want to give you a little bit of a demo of the Maximo Worker Insights solution. Overall, with Maximo Worker Insights, this is an analytics-based solution. In general, with the Worker Insights solution, there's three pieces of the puzzle. You got devices, you got communications, and you have analytics. IBM is the analytics portion of all this. Devices, we leverage different devices coming from different device providers, such as smartphone with multi-sensor tags, or phones, bands from Garmin, Mitsubishi Hammond research coming from Mitsubishi, which some of those I'm equipped with today. Also leveraging some beacons from Radius Beacons, so some of the stuff I have here with me. From there, we're able to gather the information from the devices to take it up a level, if you will, and put it in the context of the right use cases for your customers. Understanding someone's heartbeat is great, but understanding someone's heartbeat when they're in a high-stress situation, have worked a long shift, and exposed to hazardous weather is much more interesting. So we want to put the right context in it to address use cases for the customers. From a safety officer perspective, you can see the analytics here. So we're at the Swan and Dolphin, and you see a big red dot here in the middle of the screen. The red dot signifies the location of the alerts that we've been having all week. I have uploaded into this a floor plan. As you drill down into it, you can see our actual location of our booth here within Maximo World, and all the alerts have been generating right around here. We're using triangulation of beacons in order to capture the indoor location sensing for this. So when there's an issue, we know where the issue has occurred, who it has occurred with, and trends of those particular issues. As an event actually occurs, this event may or may not be an issue. Someone phoned on the floor may not be an incident to some customers. Other customers, that's an actual incident that needs to be reported upon. So when an incident occurs, when an event occurs, the incident is manifested within HSE by analyzing the event, applying the appropriate policies in HSE on it, and determine if this event was an actual incident. If it was deemed an incident request is automatically generated within HSE. The request is then pre-filled out with some fundamental information that's needed. So we have a standardized set of information of the actual event that occurred, which triggered this incident. Just giving us some standardized reporting and tie-backs into Maximo in regards to work orders and safety procedures that need to take place within the environment to help make the environment safer for your employees. Good.